as I said a minute ago, I want to take a minute today and talk a little bit about politics. Here's the question of the day in the presidential race. Has the momentum in the race started to shift toward Donald Trump? Now, we always look at this board here, our presidential forecast from Decision Desk HQ, where we give a percentage chance of victory. And that for Kamala Harris, you see it there at the top left, 51.9%, so just under 52. I start there because you remember, we do this a lot. She was, in the last month, up in the mid-50s, was 55, 56, and it's been coming down gradually. So why is that happening? What types of shifts are we seeing? I think we have to focus today on the blue wall states if we really want to understand why the race looks like it might be tightening, why it really looks like it might be anybody's game. I'll go west to east on Wisconsin, Michigan, and then Pennsylvania, because Wisconsin to me is interesting in a lot of ways. Look where the win probability is in Wisconsin. It says Dem. That's because it had been higher than that. Now it's at 50, literally a 50-50 win probability, which works in some of the other, fundamentals in the race, the registration, what party the governor is, the history of voting, that type of stuff. But the polling averages in all of these states, we'll talk more about this in a moment, are just about dead even. In this case, Harris, 0.03 advantage in the average of the polls. Also, Michigan. Now, Wisconsin, Trump has a history of outperforming his polls, which is also important. Michigan is a state, if you talked to Republicans a few weeks ago, many of them, at least behind the scenes, were saying, I don't think we're looking that great in Michigan. And it's a 60-40 win probability advantage for the Democrats, again, because of some of those fundamentals I was talking about, the way the state normally goes. They have a Democratic governor. It's a Democratic state generally. But look at what the polling shows now in Michigan. Trump's taking the lead in the average. 0.6% advantage for Trump in Michigan, and finally Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is still, this has always been this way, 51%, 0.5% advantage in the average of the polls for Harris. So the thing to keep in mind with this, when we look at that and try to translate it into our prediction map where we have 7 swing states. The easiest way to do the math, we always talk about 19 electoral votes in Pennsylvania. See where it says 93 toss-up votes? 44 of the 93 are in those big 3. And instead of me playing around with colors on this particular map, I'll just take you back to 2016, the one time Donald Trump won and became president. When he had 307 electoral votes, he won all 3 of those. So for a Democrat in this situation, you'd have to start flipping this map. I know Biden won Arizona. That's 11, right? So if I come around here and made that blue, that's 1. But then you'd have to, he won Georgia as well, keep that blue. See, that's still only 258. So in this scenario, Harris would have to run the table in all the other swing states, like North Carolina, right? Just to get to where it was. But again, in 2016, it looked, it was an advantage for Trump when he was at 307. So, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But in terms of momentum now, you have to say it's a little bit. Doesn't mean he's going to win, but a little bit of movement here over the last month for Trump. Bob?